Hey YouTube, Ryu here. Having a discussion with someone who commented on one of my videos, being extremely... I don't even necessarily have a word for it, but it's on my MGTOW, like where's MGTOW getting its drive? On that video, I'm thinking about pinning the conversation so that way anyone watching this video can go back and look, but it'll be pretty, we'll say it's going to be pretty obvious as soon as you run across it. But this individual brought up something that's kind of funny. They brought up a group which they described as born-again primitives. Let's unpack that. Now, when you think primitive, what do you think? You think lack of technology, maybe the technology of fire, technology of the basic wheel, but that's about it, you know? You tend to think nomadic, moving with game, living off of the land, so on and so forth. Yet, when I go to this person's YouTube channel, guess what I see? I see a whole lot of modern convenience involved in this individual's life. Now, that's not a problem in and of itself, but when you sit there and you're wailing on Western culture, which this person in their post even said that is described as white man culture. They're sitting there and they're like, oh, we're enjoying seeing the decline of Western culture. Thinking that somehow they are immune to the issue, when this person actively condones gynocentristic practices and thought patterns. That sort of shit doesn't exactly pan out the way you would expect it to in a primitive culture. Sorry to tell you, Elli. You want to know how women were treated in primitive cultures? They were dragged around by their hair. They were the property of the men. Now, if you want to go back to that, more power to you. Go for it. Whatever floats your boat. But you can't sit there and bitch and complain that a guy's hitting you. You can't bitch and complain that the guy doesn't take your feelings into account. When it's time, when the guy says it's time for sex, guess what? It's time for sex. You don't get a say in the matter. The men and children eat first, whereas the women tend to be on the last part of it. Because the children are growing, so they need that nourishment, and they are the future. Even primitive societies knew that. But the men got to eat first, because the men were the ones going out and taking all the risks. And without the men, the women were fucked. So, have fun with that one. You are at the bottom of the fucking totem pole. You're used to being at the top of the totem pole. It'll be a real culture shock for you. Now, she says that it's full of strong men. I wonder what she means by that. Does she mean these little beta cucks that are sitting there? Or are we talking about the hyper masculine, jock style, hit it with a club type of man? Because if she's talking about the latter, I can understand that, because she thinks that she's going to be able to control that. In primitive cultures, you couldn't. They were the ones in control. The only cultures in which women control men are in Western cultures. And they do that by way of manipulation of the laws and social norms. You go to that primitive thing, for one, if Western society falls, you're suddenly not going to have those modern conveniences. you're going to have some real issues on your hands. Because if you go with a primitive culture, well, here's the thing. You very obviously don't understand what a primitive culture means. Because a primitive culture runs off the laws of the land. And when I say the land, I'm not talking about societal land. I'm talking about nature land. The strong survive, the weak are killed. That is how it works in nature. Nature is very unforgiving. You're used to being sheltered by society. Society shelters people from nature. It is the thing that makes us unique from animals. If it was not for societal structure, we would be no different from the apes. We would be no different from lions. We would be no different from any other herd animal, except for the fact that we would be dead. Because when you look at humans from a biological perspective, from an anatomical perspective, we are the least survivable species on the planet. The only reason why we have survived and thrived is because of our intelligence and our ability to override our basic instincts to a degree. That's the only reason why we survived this long. That and the ability to use tools because opposable thumbs. That's the reason why the most believable alternative reality that we've ever heard of in science fiction would be Planet of the Apes. But I'm getting off topic. That's a topic for a completely different video. Now, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. Elli, you don't know what you're signing up for on that. And it very much so sounds like it has the mentality of a cult. But there's a lot of that going around. Hell, even some MGTOWs have that mentality where they other people. And as soon as someone is othered, then they are of no value. They are less than human, whatever, whatnot. Be careful. Because as a fellow traveler to the grave, I don't exactly want to see you wiped out. I don't want to see you suffer. But the fact of the matter is, you are signing yourself up for that. If not yourself directly, then your children or your children's children. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Western civilization going down is the end of humanity. I'm not saying that. But all those little privileges that you have, you know, where you get to sit there and speak your mind as a woman, those will be gone. Because the fact of the matter is if you go back to that primitive culture, you go back to women and children being property. You go back to men being the ones, yes, doing all of the physical labor, but you're expected to go ahead and maintain the household. You're expected to raise the children. However, the male will be in charge of disciplining said children, and you will have no say. You attack a man, he will kill you on the spot. Or at the very least, make you wish he had killed you. You say that there are strong men. You have no idea what men are capable of. Because the thing is societal norms that are still there protecting you will be gone. And once those are gone, you will be once again at the mercy of what nature instilled into men. Be careful for what you wish for. Because the thing is if you go ahead and you want to go back to a primitive society, here's what you need to do. Go out and live on the land. Do not go into air-conditioned areas or anything. You are now at the mercy of the elements. You want to go ahead and live in a primitive culture? Yeah, some basic agriculture, but guess what? Metalworking and such? Nope. Laws protecting women from men? Those are gone. Be ready to bend the knee to anything with a dick and balls. Now, if you think that sounds fun and that sounds awesome, well, congratulations on screwing yourself over. Because in all honesty, at this point, these Western values that you hate so much are the very values that allow you to express that hatred. The irony. So, I wish you the best of luck in your life. I really feel sorry for your kids. But not my place. If that's your choice, then that's your choice. Go for it. But the thing is remember that once you or your children or your children's children realize how bad of a mistake you made, it will be too late. Because it's very hard to get out of that tyrannical hierarchy. I mean, hell, it took us thousands of years. And if you want to go ahead and erase that 1,000 or more years of progress that women have actually been able to make, then go for it. Because the thing is right now, women have a sweet deal. And yet they're still bitching about it. I think maybe, you know, a group of women and a group of guys should go back to that primal thing, so women can actually see what it's like in a primal society again. Because hell, even in Africa, it's not a primal society. That is still a civil society. Take that into account. A primal society is much, much worse than anything we have on the planet.